Horse Racing Manager is a game that is clearly trying to capture the nuance and depth of managing a horse racing stable. In a lot of ways, they do manage to capture it, but in one key way they really don't. This is going to be a quickish review of Horse Racing Manager. As with other games in early access, I'll try and be fair, and obviously not complain about bugs. And if you just want to know who won the raffle, you can head to the very end of this video where I announce them all. And thank you to my Ko-Fi supporters for being more awesome than the FEI getting investigated by animal welfare. Because good golly Miss Molly, they've fallen off the deep end. But with that out of the way, let's get into the good parts of Horse Racing Manager. At the very start of the game, you can select the background for your character. You can be a down-on-your-luck dude, an average dude, or Bruce Wayne. This will determine your starting finances. I picked Bruce Wayne because I wanted to just run the game as best I could without any hindrances and see all the features it had. But I love the fact that you have these options. It is a sort of simple answer to the question of easy, normal, or hard in a rather unique way. You can also select between flat racing and harness. For this review, I'm sticking to flat racing. I will do a more in-depth and thorough review once the game is fully released. Now, you do have a bunch of skills like jockeyship, training, and so on. You can divide points into these skills, but I just went with capping all of them because I can. These skills will actually and do have an effect on how you play the game. For example, these bottom skills determine how well you can train a horse in specific abilities, whereas the top skills determine more the overall effect your character has on the world. A high negotiation skill, for example, will mean you can more easily negotiate salaries with employees, whereas a low jockeyship skill will just mean you don't have as much control of the horse on the track or you're not as effective. Veterinary skills means you have more health points to deal out every week for your horse. So there are some effects here, but the issue is not all of them have been implemented completely. So to explore if they have a deeper effect on the game will be a little difficult now, but we do have an idea of what they do. So let's rather head on over to the first official screen you will see in the game. Your emails. Your emails are where you will get information on current events, news on horse performance in races, and of course your tutorial given to you by your assistant. I really love this as it makes the tutorial feel part of the world. It's a smart choice that works well to keep immersion complete. It's a lot of reading though, so do buckle up. Now the email told me to consider 3-year-old horses which have a great racing ability and to also check on their recent race results to gauge performance. Great! I have guidance, although I'm not going to go into the ethical issues of racing 2-year-old horses because if I do, I will be here until next year. I'll leave that for another video. As you can see on the screen, there are a lot of horses for sale. Their ages, potential, gender, and price are all available for you to quickly gauge their ability. Right off the bat, I love the little horses on the screen, bouncing up and down, waiting to be grabbed by my greedy little paws. They're so damn cute! To buy a horse is pretty simple. You hit the button and you buy it. Whereas the auction is a little more interesting and awesome, of course. Before the auction, you go through all the horses that will be sold. Some can be bought outright, but if one catches your eye that needs to go through the auction, you're gonna have to sit your butt down and bid. I have stated this in the game of Ranch for a Shine, but I love the auction houses in horse games. It feels like little presents you get to browse, and winning the bid is just such a gratifying feeling. But even better, when I hit details of the horse, it gets so much better. Seeing the horse fully on the screen like this just melted my damned heart. I'm a sucker for pixel art, and this is a lot of effort and time to just go into a pixel game. There are a ton of coats, and the backgrounds change depending on where the horse is, and it's just, the details are just so cute, and I love it. Now, I will say, I'm not a fan of the many breeds. There are thoroughbreds, Arabians, quarter horses, Akeltekis, and I don't even know what else. That could be all of them, but honestly, it just doesn't make sense to have all these horses. All the horses look exactly the same. They are different breeds in name only. Now, this is a trap a lot of horse games unfortunately fall into. We must have many breeds, but really, it just creates a lot of work for you. If they are planning on adding more models for the breeds, for example, that could potentially just make more work for crossbreeding and animating the different models, and I just honestly don't see the sense in this. In my opinion, just remove all the other breeds. It's not going to change the game in the slightest, and it'll give you time to focus on what's really important, the horse racing. Besides, it's a horse racing game. Just stick to thoroughbreds. Okay, rant over, let's move on. Tearing our eyes away from the adorableness of pixel ponies, we can see current stats, health, career earnings, coat, and its current grade, which determines if the horse can compete in higher races. and then on the left it has a short little description for the horse. The description is clearly pre-generated and offers very generic information. I do like it, but I halfway wish they added some more personality to the description, even if it's just loves apples or kicks grooms. It doesn't have to have any sort of effect on the rest of the game, but giving it a bit more flavor is never a terrible idea for a horse game. And also, please convert the feet to hands. I felt like my brain broke when I saw a horse measured in feet. There are some stats for the horses as well as with the rider. Intelligent reflects how easily a horse can be controlled during races. It will also later determine how quickly a horse picks up skills. Temperament reflects how compliant a horse is during races. If they have a difficult temperament, they might ignore commands. Speed determines how fast a horse can run or its pace. Acceleration determines how fast a horse can reach its stop speed from a standstill. It can also give a horse sudden bursts. Strength enhances a horse's ability to launch quickly at the start of the race. In the future, this will also determine how well a horse performs on difficult terrain. The difficult terrain is shown right at the start of the race. Stamina allows a horse to keep a top speed for longer periods. Potential represents the ability a horse can reach. Ability, in turn, is the current ability a horse has. What you may notice is that on some of the horses the ability and potential are grayed out. The reason for this is because we actually don't know the full potential of the horse yet. And I love this, because this changes the game from a purely statistical game to one with at least an element of surprise. With, for example, a tier system, you can never be in the position of taking a chance because all the information is given to you already through the tiers. But now, I don't know the full potential of this horse. I can scout, but it will take time and tomorrow it might be sold. Or I could take a chance and maybe that 2-star is really a 3-star. I'm so happy that I don't know precisely what the horse's ability is, because now not only can I take a chance, but I might end up with an accidental champion, and I won't know it until the horse shakes loose and shows me. It's an element that is often missing from horse games, and I think Horse Racing Manager has possibly found a solution. But if you think this is where the details and intricacies end, you would be wrong. You also have medical facilities, a farrier, you need to hire staff, stable hands, vets, managers, trainers and jockeys. Each of them will have different demands and personalities, and they might be difficult or easy to work with. You can also build more on your facility. Buildings include an equine sauna, paddocks, more stable space, staff offer security systems, which suggests possible sabotage, training areas, nutrient areas, and so on and so forth. There's really a lot of content in the game. I will also say that each member of staff has a name, a face, and you can negotiate their salaries. I love this very much, and like I said, there's just so much detail in this game. They really put in a lot of time. But again, I will rather do a more in-depth review on all of this once the game is fully released. But now let's get to the training. Training is simple and quick. You select the horse, select the type of training, and then the intensity of it. Who will be doing the training, the quality of feed, the quality of care, the stable hand, and then finally the preferred jockey. Here is where the relationship of the horses, trainers, and stable hands will grow, but I'm not entirely sure what this does yet. Every time you train, the horse has a little statistic showing what has been trained and how it affected them. You can very easily skip a week or a day at the top. This is an easy way to quickly get to the next race or event. I love the little messages that pop up when you do so. Calibrating horses to stop chewing on jockey helmets. It adds a much needed flair of personality in an otherwise analytical game, and it is very analytical. As you've noticed, there are a lot of charts and information being given. There is a lot to the game, and each of these elements affect or change up the rules slightly. The idea with this is to give it depth, to immerse you into the intricacies of horse racing. Unfortunately, that's not what happened to me while playing the game. I didn't get immersed. I got disconnected. Mentally. I felt more like I was ticking boxes: get a horse, hire a jockey, hire a manager, select a training intensity, select feed quality, skip to race, repeat. I don't feel like a manager of a stable. I feel more like I'm just going through the motions, and it also feels like none of my actions leave any real impact on the world. And even when you take actions that should have an impact, it doesn't feel like it lands. We see this with the training. Whenever I train a horse, I expect it to do at least a little better. But even when I enter it into a race, it should do well in because it's, within its ability range, it just doesn't. So on top of feeling like I'm ticking boxes, I feel like I'm ticking boxes that don't really matter. It makes me feel disconnected from the experience. But I will be lenient here, as this is a very small development team of around, I think, 6 people. And you can absolutely see the structure of something good. There is clearly a plan here. Unfortunately, though, this halfway there problem extends to the most important part of the game, the races. Now, the game encourages us to enter our first race. I select my horse, select a race, and then quickly skip to the next event so that I can watch it. The race opens up with a stunning pixel environment, heroic music, and amazingly, a brief overview of the horses as they approach the gate, with commentary. I love it. Again, it is so cute and adorable. Once they're all in, the gates slam open and the race begins. First off, what did I love? The commentary, the animations, and the visual. All good, pretty, and amazing. But as you could see, for most of the race, my horse was alone on the screen. It felt like it was basically running a solitary race. And this is a bit of a problem for horse racing. Let's first get into why this happens, and then I'll explain why it's a problem. So the races work like this. You have a bar for stamina and one for distance. You don't have to worry about turns. All you have to worry about is the speed and stamina. Once you're out the gate, your goal is to keep the horse at a good pace while saving that stamina. The stamina bar is technically 2 bars, the orange bar representing the overall stamina and green representing the immediate stamina. The green gets chewed up quickly, and if the green hits orange, your horse needs to, take a breather. If you slow down, green goes up again. But throughout the race, orange is steadily dipping. So, you are also trying to push the horse to sprint as much as you can, because leftover stamina technically means the horse didn't run to its fullest potential. So what does this create? Well, the jockeys run their horses at their maximum speed at a good pace, meaning all horses will always have a general speed they are running at, meaning a horse with 60% will not run as fast as a horse with 80%, etc. Now we should consider the stamina, but the problem is you just get horses that sprint for a bit, then stop, then sprint for a bit, then stop, because that is the inherent strategy of this game. It comes down to the dominant strategy, where your opponent is going to use the strategy that works best for the game. The best strategy for this horse race? Stick to a high speed and just keep running. Now, to be fair, there are other elements like the track's condition and type that also affects the horses, but this doesn't seem to be working as well as it should, or it has a minimal effect. Also, the horses go into a trot during the race? Good grief, why? But currently, there is no logical reason for my horse to want to bunch up in the race. And the thing is, even Rival Stars, for all its flaws, has a clear reason to stick to a pack. If I'm in a pack, and I'm in my favorite position, my potential goes up. It's simple, but it works. And Horse Racing Manager desperately needs something similar. Because the bunch up is really where the tactical aspect of horse racing happens. Now, to be very nerdy for a bit, I'm going to show you a horse race from 2009 with the legendary Zenyatta. Before the horses even take off, the position of your horse is already part of the race. If you're far on the outside, it could mean a longer distance for you to run. If you're on the inside, it could mean a shorter distance, but you run the risk of getting boxed in. So from this point, the jockeys are already considering the strategy and tactic for the start of the race. From the moment the horses break to around 18 seconds is usually the entire start of the horse race. This is where horses find their positions and settle. Now they need to keep up the stamina and stay with the pack, which Horse Racing Manager does well. Now in this case, Zenyatta got an extremely poor start and fell far to the back of the pack. The front runner is this one. This is the one setting the pace. Some horses like a fast pace, but listen to the commentator.
They grow to the 3/4 pole now in the Classic, and it's Regal Ransom just setting a sensible pace, not in a big hurry out here.
The front runner is slow. He's cruising. This, I think, is what saved Zenyatta in this race. Now, when they turn the corner, we see the horses spread out again. The reason they spread out is they need space to run. They don't want to get boxed in. And here we see Zenyatta coming up. The slow pace may have helped, but it's her turn of foot that shows her true class in this moment.
Gio Ponti on the inside, Summerbird is right there. This is unbelievable! Zenyatta!
She rockets past, cutting through the back to nab the win. It's an absolutely brilliant race, and the reason is not because Horsey ran fast, it's the story the race told. And that's the brilliance of horse racing. Each race tells a story. Now, of course, we can't really have the turn problems and perhaps the boxing problems in a 2D game. That's going to be difficult to translate, but that doesn't mean we can't have any stories. You have to remember that the reason why horses bunch up is because they want to stay close to each other so that one horse doesn't pull away and just win because it has a huge distance. For this to make sense, we have to look at another race, this time from War Admiral. Although today remembered for losing to Seabiscuit, War Admiral was a beast on the track. He was a frontrunner, a horse that not only set a brutal pace, but kept the pace and would win by lengths. His father, Man O' War, was the exact same. Frontrunners are terrifying in my opinion. Thing is, War Admiral was taught to stay at the front. Seabiscuit was a closer because he was a lazy starter. So when the match rates came along, they had to re-strategize for Biscuit. To have any chance at beating War Admiral, they had to teach Biscuit how to brake fast. Otherwise, War Admiral would run away from plotting Biscuit and the horse would have no chance at catching up. But here's the beauty of it. When Admiral and Biscuit were neck and neck, in that match race, Biscuit had one edge. He had learned how to fight for his victories. He knew how to keep pushing, even when another horse was faster. He didn't give up. Admiral had never had to look another horse in the eye. He had been taught to stay at the front. He never had to feel the flame of another horse's challenge. So he faltered and got burned. Without the distinction of frontrunners, closers, stayers and brakes, this event in horse racing history would never have happened. And that is what I often miss in horse racing games. This isn't purely a statement against Horse Racing Manager, to be clear. I understand the dev is working on the races still, but this is the overall frustration I have with horse racing. I want to be able to tell stories. I want Man O' War to lose to a horse called Upset. I want a Mind That Bird to crush the favorite in the Breeders' Cup. I want a Seabiscuit loser to grow into a champion and beat his rival. And I can't have these stories, the ones that make horse racing such an endearing sport, if the game doesn't allow for it. To be clear, for Horse Racing Manager, there is a lot to love here, and you can see a lot of time and effort has been put into this game. I think the developer is doing a great job with all the details in charts and information and the overall feel of it. It's still early days, the dev has a lot of work ahead of him, and the game is a lot more polished than other horse games. It just doesn't feel like a horse racing game yet. Congratulations to Genis8561, Lenan Munson 1938, and Mikatisel for winning the raffle. I will be in contact with you guys soon, so thank you for participating.